I didn't sleep all Sunday night. I just stayed wide awake and I noticed that I was a little bit irritable at the airport, but that was just because Southwest was doing some stupid shit where they were only like having two people serve you tickets. Side note, I'm very meticulous on how I want things. And so I always have to have a physical copy of my ticket, no matter what. I don't care if it's on my fucking phone. I don't give a shit. I want to hold it.
I'll give you something to hold.
Just like if I go to the bank and I say, I want my money, all of it, they better be able to give it to me because I want to hold it. I want to know that it's mine, even though they have it. And we got there at 4, and it took an hour and 15 minutes just for me to check one bag and get my damn tickets. And didn't sleep on the way to Denver. I thought I did, but I guess maybe I slept with my eyes open because my people that were sitting near me were looking at me all funny. Tried to do some on the scenes at Denver International. Got told to go fuck myself by 2 people.
Did you capture it?
No, because I usually try to ask people before I interview them, like, hey, is it okay if I interview you for a few things? I try to give them that courtesy, and I was like, no, go fuck yourself. I was like, oh, okay. And then I walked up to another dude and I said, hey, can I get an interview with you? We do this podcast. It'd be really cool. The listeners would love it. And he said, yeah, how about you go fuck yourself? And I said, rock on.
Nice. Sounds like a similar incident to mine. Not many people take kindly to questions, huh?
No, and it's not like I'm shoving a mic down their face like Alex Jones. Like, you think they're putting fucking chemicals in the water?
You think they're making the frogs turn gay? Things like that.
I was trying to get like a true one where I'm not like, hey, do you ever wake up with aliens playing patty cake with your butt cheeks? I was in Denver, so shit, I thought I could like ask people what they thought of the airport.
They're probably just trying to get the fuck out of there.
I know, right?
So, I got an interesting story that happened to me this weekend.
Ooh,
Tell us.
So before I got sick, I had to drive to, well, I'm not going to say the town's name, but it's an hour north of me. I take medication regularly because of something that I have. And no, it's not a transmitted disease, you filthy freaks. It's hereditary. It's something I got to take a medicine for. But they delivered my medication an hour north, so I had to drive there and pick it up and drive back. So I take my son with me and we drive up there and we start driving back and we hit bad traffic, like really bad traffic. And I'm like, hey, I'm in my eating window right now. So I'm doing the 20-and-4 diet, the intermittent fasting, where I fast for 20 hours and then I have a window of 4 hours where I can eat. So there was nothing in sight except a McDonald's. And at this point, I'm like starving. And I'm like, let's just go to McDonald's. I'll get me a double cheeseburger, 2 double cheeseburgers, add mac sauce, small fry, and a Gatorade. So we go to McDonald's and the drive-thru is like 20 cars deep. No joke. Super long drive-thru. I'm like, I'm just going to walk inside. Let's go inside. So we go inside. My son orders chicken nuggies. I order my double cheeseburgers with mac sauce. And they give my son his order, and then they give my order to somebody else. I'm like, where's my order? And they're like, oh, we just gave it to that wrong person. I'm sorry. I'm like, it's not a big deal. 5 minutes pass. They bring me my order. I freaking get into my first burger. I open it up. I look at it, and I take a bite. And I'm like, there's no fucking meat inside here. I open it up. There's no meat. There's everything else. The cheese, the ketchup, the sliced onions, the mac sauce, but no meat. I'm like, what the fuck? So I put my hamburger down and I get the next one out because it was the 2 cheeseburgers, right? And I open that one up. There's no meat in that one either. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I walk back up to the counter and I'm like, hey, there's no meat in my burgers. And for some reason, the lady doesn't comprehend that. She's like, what? I'm like, there's no meat in my burgers. And she's like, I don't understand. What do you mean there's no meat? And I'm like, there's physically no meat in my cheeseburgers I just got. She's like, I don't know what you mean. And so I'm like, oh my fucking God. At this point, my patience is out the window. I set the cheeseburgers down. I open them up. I open up the buns from each other. And I say, look, there's no meat. She goes, oh, there's no meat. Sorry about that. And she takes them and takes them back. So I go and sit down. 5 minutes pass. She brings me 2 more cheeseburgers. I go and I get it. I take a bite out of it. No mac sauce on either of them. At this point, I'm just like, fuck it. I eat them. get back in my truck, and we get back on the highway where we're stuck in traffic for the next hour and a half. So our hour drive up was only an hour, but our hour drive back was like 2 hours and 30, almost 3 hours long. So that's my story. But I don't condone anybody. I don't promote McDonald's. Don't go eat there. Fuck McDonald's.
Their Sprite, though, so good.
Their Coke, man, their Coke is on like another level. It's because of that straw. That straw's bigger, so the drink hits more on your tongue, hits all your taste buds at once. Bigger straw makes a total difference.
Didn't know that.
Does it?
Yes. Bigger straw, you got to think. Bigger straw, right? You stick it in your mouth. You suck down the soda pop, and it spread more all over your tongue, spread out. They studied all this shit.
Can you show us how the straw goes in the mouth real quick, though?
No, I can't.
That big straw reminds me of the first time y'all ever had boba.
Yes.
No, I have not.
Okay, that's like big ass tapioca balls in the bottom of fucking tea.
Dude, shit's delicious.
So I don't gag easily. You can ask Aaron.
It's disgusting.
So here I am. I was in the army, and my soldier's wife had brought all of us teas. And I'm like, why is this such a huge straw? And I mean, like, this muff was like a 1/2 inch in diameter. So I'm like, good God. I didn't really look at the tea much, so I slammed the bitch in there because they don't have like regular tops. They like seal it with a plastic and you slam it in there. And so I'm drinking it and I'm pushing the straw down deeper, and all of a sudden my mouth gets filled with these boba balls and I fucking gagged and spit them up. Disgusting.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I'd throw up. I don't like anything in my drink besides liquid and ice.
I usually save them for the last and shoot them.
All right. So, got anything else you want to add to today's episode before we roll it out?
I'm good.
I'm fine.
All right. Well, roll us out, Hans.
All right. I want to thank you for joining us today. And again, thank you for the support. You are amazing. Remember that. Every single one of you. If you forget, just go to the last part of the episodes and listen to all of us say it. So with that being said, Dan and Aaron, you want to roll us out?
Sure will. It's okay to be out of this world with your thoughts.
Because you are not alone.
Fortune smiles upon thee this week in Retronauts because we're talking about Dragon Quest. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Retronauts Live, episode 14 for the week of, I don't know, next week, May 30th, June 1st, whatever. There's a holiday in there somewhere, so it's all going to be messed up. But what's not messed up is that I'm your host, Jeremy Parrish, and with me this week is a huge cast. Oh, no, wait. It's a very small cast. It's almost like no one cares about Dragon Quest around here, except the new guy.
Absolutely. I am...
Introduce yourself, new guy.
Yes, I'm Marty Sleva. This is my first week. I am the My Cheats intern.
And you're here in the studio because...
It is the 25th anniversary of two things. One is me, and the other is...
Oh, Dragon Quest.
Oh, yeah.
So you're like siblings.
Absolutely.
Brother from another mother.
My middle name is Hiro.
Is it?
It is not. It should be, though.
That would be interesting.
Right?
In Japan, do they call you Marty Warrior?
They do, absolutely.
Marty Quest and you're Marty Warrior here. Something along those lines. Anyway, yeah, so I guess you're the only one at the office who's played Dragon Quest.
I do.
Or something like that.
Yes.
We got rid of everyone else. I think that was one of the prerequisites for being fired back a few months ago. If you'd played Dragon Quest, you got sacked.
Yeah, that...
I lied. I hid.
You're wise.
Or maybe they just kind of kept me around as the token. I don't know.
You always need one.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Dragon Quest. I guess we should do the usual rundown thing where we talk about what the games are and what they're about and so forth. They're basically an RPG. If you've played a Japanese RPG, you've played something that has a lot to do with Dragon Quest. It's kind of the template for an entire genre. And any American RPG or Western developed RPG that tries really hard to be a Japanese RPG also owes a lot to Dragon Quest. But it's funny because Dragon Quest in turn owes a lot to Western developed RPGs. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the history of the series.
Yeah, a bit. You can totally catch us up though.
No, that's fine. What do you know about it?
Like
the origins of Dragon Quest.
Well, the origins. I mean, I've always thought of Dragon Quest and in the America Dragon Warrior as a video game version of Dungeons and Dragons.
Kind of, but there's kind of a layer of separation. When you look back at the classic RPGs that really were inspired by D&D, you had things like Ultima and Wizardry, and those were the direct inspirations for Dragon Quest. But the developer of Dragon Quest was the main guy behind it was the guy named Yuji Horii, who still runs the series and calls the shots. It's kind of unusual that way. There aren't that many series, at least third-party series, that are still run by the same guy who kicked them off. Maybe Metal Gear. I can't think of anything else. Anyway, he'd played some Japanese RPGs. Probably, I've heard he might have been introduced to Japanese RPGs through Black Onyx, which was a Japanese published RPG. It was specifically designed for Japan, but it was designed by Henk Rogers, who I think was Dutch. Anyway, he was living in Japan and said, "I'm going to make a game like Wizardry, but it's going to be in Japanese." And he did. And Japan said, "Wow, this is really great." And then they kind of, some people who got into Black Onyx really got into Wizardry, got into Ultima,